Okay, so just to continue with some of the tools here, the next one I want to share with you here is under the bucket tool. There is this one called Stroke. And Stroke, let me just select a layer here. Stroke allows me to, um, let me see, which one is this? I forget which one is this, but let me see if that's the right layer. If I use stroke, I can make a cut inside of an object. Let me try here, and that cuts object there, and you press K on your keyboard. You can see it. You press K again. You can turn it off. So by default, it's off. So that adds a cut to it. And the cool thing about that is that now I can go and use my paint bucket tool and maybe use here and apply that other tone here. And then I can go back here with my selection tool and select that extra piece or those extra pieces that are outside of my plane. And then I would be able to do some extra little things in my object, which is pretty cool. Other things that I can do is I'm going back to layer here and call it the line artwork layer. Say, for example, I wanted to add a little detail to my object. Just use my dark blue again. And say, for example, I want to paint a little hat. Not that one. Let me make sure I'm using the right uh, tool. I'm not using that one yet. I'll use this one. I'm going to look a little hat right there. Um, and then I'm going to just do, it's not going to work quite well, but let me just do it like this for now. But if I wanted to just close that object, um, apply with a different color, that wouldn't work. So for that, I would come here, use this close gap. And close gap, let me go very close to it. I can just go and really draw from one to the other one. So it's giving me a bunch of messages there. Hopefully it didn't crash. Doesn't like when the gaps are too long. It's telling me that just adding a stroke. I'm gonna say okay. Uh, for whatever reason, it's slowing down. Hopefully it didn't crash. All right, finally I was able to close those windows. If I press K on my keyboard, you can see that's why it was giving me so much trouble, is because it was so long. It created a bunch of extra things there, extra vertices there. So I could probably going to have to clean that up a little bit better later on. But now with this idea, I can come back here and I can close the color, right? So let's say I'm going to give him a little bit of an object there. You can see how an object, of course, that's it's not quite right. I'm sure please should go and finish it up and just do a little extra drawing here or something, and then apply to that one the, and then maybe apply the same color here, whatever it is. Um, I don't have a real plan here for illustrating this, but um, you get you get my example. So that gives us the opportunity to not have lines whenever you need uh, the lines in it. Usually, this one, at least with experience that I've had, close gap is just for smaller gaps, not such long gaps. Okay, the other one is the eyedropper, and of course, this one is just telling you, which shader you or which um, swatch of your palette that you're using, which is pretty cool. This other one is pencil texture. I've tried it. It's not that. I've had a lot of trouble with it. I couldn't get it to work, so I'm going to skip it for now. Um, Other things that I want to share with you, there is this one, which is a drawing pivot point. This one actually works when we go to do animation. There are different ways of doing pivot points here. For example, if I got if I got my object and I select everything here, and I with the selection tool, you see the little white dot, and then I come up here, I rotate my object, and my object rotates around that little white dot. My computer is having a hard time with that. There it is. Actually, it didn't rotate. I just rotate the object on top, not the artboard that is underneath. But it allows me to do a rotation of the object if if it was um, if I wanted to rotate it. And if I wanted to use something different for the pivot, this one is works actually um, to pivot based on the rotation here, but it's going to be used for animation. We're going to get into dealing with that later on here, and that is that when I put this object here with this pivot, I can modify the pivot, and then I can, when I come here, I can rotate my object pivoting where I picked, and you see that the whole object goes with it, which is the difference between using it here by allowing this to work on one layer while this one's work to for animating. We're not going to animate those yet. This one is for morphing, and that's animation. We're going to deal with that a little bit later. This one is, of course, for moving our screen, which is, we'll be doing with the space bar as well. This one is for animation tool. We're going to just ignore that one just for now. The same as this one allows me to do animation of the object. And then this one is for onion skin, so I can see an animation how things are going. In the next few minutes, I'm going to just cover a couple little things there, and that is the the layers. We've just created a color card and a drawing card. I want to create another drawing. When you click plus, you can just see. Let me just move this one up so you can see a bit more of my window there. Um, you see, you can create bones, cameras, color card, drawings, game bone, cinematic output, pics, quad maps, sounds, and effects. We're going to say most of the time going to stick to this three camera, color card, and drawing. Today we're going to click on drawing, and what that is that once you create a new drawing layer, you can of course give it a name, and I'm going to call it, say for example, rough. And that's what we're going to do for when we start roughing out our animation. Notice how you can create landmark and color art vectors, which is what we'll be using, but you can also do bitmap. You want to do kind of like a more relaxed sketch that you're not worried about the vectors at all. So if I do bitmaps on both, um, and you can make the drawing extended to be on the backdrop all the way for your timeline. We didn't change your timeline in the beginning. So when they add and close, so that makes a rough thing. So when I go here, hide these other guys. I'm gonna keep this one on, and then this one, I can now go and start um, painting. You know, my scene. So I'm gonna just try to just do a little bit of a. You see how my colors here are shown differently, but now I can just say, okay, in this scene, I'm going to have a mountain chain, and then on this front, I'm going to put maybe an object that it's going to be, my first object in my scene, and then like a tower or something, and then another building back in the distance, and so on and so forth. So I can use this, and this one's going to be tinier even down back there, right? And maybe my sun is going to be right there. So I have a way to I have my sketch, my rough sketch behind it, and I can lock it so that you know next time I come to draw animate, I can create another layer, and this one is a drawing, and this one I'm going to keep it a vector. This one is not going to be extend exposure. You simply my first frame. Actually, I'm going to do it right there, and then here I can just start going to refining my objects, of course. Um, Control Alt to rotate my scene, and start illustrating my object a little bit better there. And the rest is pure artwork that you want to follow. I'm here being very loose about it. You probably want to be more careful with your design, but that allows for um, us to do a little bit of cleanup. Hopefully, I can get rid of that, and so on and so forth. Okay, so you see that now we have, if I let me just finish here and just do this quick little version of my guy on my little tower there, whatever that is, a tank or something. And then back here, I'm gonna put that. And of course, I could apply colors and everything. And that object right now is only on my first frame. I can just change my view here. And, you know, if you look under your X sheet is not there, you can go simply just go and look at it under your list. Right there is the X sheet. You can not see it on my screen. Extend frame one. You simply, um, if you fit that one here, uh, I think I'm on the wrong layer. I'm using my keeps going. Zooming in and out. Let me see if I can just type it. Double click, press one, so that duplicates the drawing. So that makes it, allowing to copy the same drawing. Or the other option is you can go Shift plus, and Shift plus start copying the object all the way. I'm holding it all the way. So if I want to have that background, you know, pretending that it's cleaned up through the whole thing. You press one on your keyboard here. You can reduce. For zooming out, that presses one on your keyboard. You can see how many frames in your X sheet or dope sheet, you know, the amount of frames that you've used. So which is pretty cool. We'll do a bit more of working with the with this sheet when we start animating. But for now, this is giving us a good beginning to have understanding of some of the tools for us to start working on our next exercise, which is doing a basic animation. All right, let's have some fun with this. Let's see you guys in the next video.